gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Matt Hoffman, this is Worship Everywhere. As you guys know, we are working on collaborations and the collective of the kingdom so we can build unity, and that's what we're all about. So we've been having conversations with various worship pastors and leaders in the St. Louis area, and so we're really lucky to get to speak with these two gentlemen today. We got Pastor John Kramer with a K and Matt Clermont. So you guys are with Gateway 61. So we're thankful. Thanks for taking the time to kind of meet with us today. But I wanted to start with you, Pastor John. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the vision, the mission? What is Gateway 61 about? Talk about the genesis of that.
Yeah. Well, we've been going 8 years, and basically about 8.5 years ago, God spoke to my wife and I, Diane, that to start a church, and I was really wrestling with church. I've been in church my whole life, and I'm like, God, I don't want to do church. And then the Lord was like, I'm not asking you to start a church. I'm asking you to step into a move and raise up an army. And so that really kind of started forming the vision. And I actually was like, oh yeah, I'll do that, not knowing what really that meant. And as we stepped into it, like you really do have to kind of take some steps into some things for God to start unfolding and for really vision to develop. And as I stepped into it, he really started clarifying what step into a move and raise up an army was all about. And so the step into the move, he said, was going to be very presence driven. He was going to be the center of everything, and to keep him the centerpiece of everything that's going on. And he goes, everything will flow out of that. He goes, I don't want a personality, I don't want a performance, and I don't want a program. I want to be presence driven.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then as he was saying that, I started seeing the Ezekiel wheel within the wheel, and I saw basically a shaft of light, and he said, that's my presence. And he goes, where people gather is going to be the hub. And so my presence is going to fill that. And in that place, if you have me in the center, people are going to encounter me, and when they encounter me, they're going to hear me. And he said, as they hear my voice, they're going to get equipped automatically. And he goes, I'm going to create a loving culture, and in that loving culture, people will feel safe. And if they feel safe, they'll experience freedom at the same time.
Wow.
And so I knew in that hub and presence-driven that people were going to get set free. And then I started seeing the outside wheel form, and it was like fireballs outside of this fiery shaft of light coming down. And that was all like the eyes in Ezekiel, but it was all people, all these fireballs, people encountering the presence, getting lit on fire, and then going out. And so I saw spokes of the presence of God flowing so strong out, because they were carrying then the kingdom of God. They were carrying his presence out into every place, every place. We all have our worlds. You probably have, your world of people that I will never meet. And so you're going to reach your world. I'm going to meet my world. Matt's going to reach his world. And so it was about that, of that presence driven. And he said, so in that place, when they get equipped, he said, that's going to be the raising up the army. And he goes, it's going to be an army of laid down lovers.
Wow. Man, that's incredible. What a vision, what a launch point, for sure. What do you think it is about, and I want to say this right, because I don't want to discourage anyone. I actually would like for you to encourage other pastors that are maybe struggling with the program, or maybe feeling like they don't have the personality. So what is it? How does presence fit in? How do you get there? How would you transition to that?
Yeah, well, programs are a lot of work.
Yeah.
Performing all the time is a lot of work. All those are a lot of work. And you have to constantly be feeding those things. And after those things, where in presence, he's leading.
Yeah.
And so you really just have to just one day go, you're in the lead, I'm just following.
Yeah.
And so I look at it as this giant tapestry on a Sunday morning where we're just this thread, and he's just weaving things and putting all things together.
Yeah.
And I'll actually kind of end up in that role. It almost feels like at times I'm just conducting. And so you're just kind of a conductor, and you're just being led by a spirit. And I think the other things, the personality, program, and performance, those are so many things that we do for God. We're always trying to do all these things for God, work our way there. We're presence-driven, we're doing something from God. So we go, you're the source.
Wow.
And so I want to do things from you. And as I receive things from him and get that inside me, then I can release that. And so it's just that constant flow of him and doing things from him. And really, there's not near the effort to it. But man, it rattles my flesh. I'll be really honest.
Yeah.
Some days it really
Probably
rattles my
anybody
flesh.
would, yeah.
It rattles my flesh. Like, you want to do what right now, or you're going this direction. But faith is a great risk.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, take the risk, follow me.
Yeah.
And I found out every time he's always got it.
And
he even covers my mistakes when I miss them, which I really love.
He's so good. He's so gracious,
good about that.
like compassionate. Yeah.
So good about that.
Yeah, I know that personally as well.
Yeah.
So then with presence being his presence being the driving factor, of course, worship has a huge plays a huge factor with that. What, from your perspective, how do you approach that? Going after the presence. What does that look like for you to put that together?
Yeah, I think I was fortunate. I wasn't here when John and Diane started this. I came in 4 or 5 years ago. And so I walked into it and it was already happening. And so it was a little easier for me to just step in, be a part of the team, and because I didn't come in as a leader. I came in as just someone to serve in the ministry. I came in as a part of the team.
That's
I
the
saw
best
what
way,
was
isn't it?
It is. So good.
Yeah. And I got to see that that's what was happening. I was told, the first thing I was ever told about this church before I came was that this is a church that prioritizes the presence of God.
Yes.
And I had come from a small basically a little house church for the last 5 years, where I was leading worship in living rooms, and it was beautiful, and there was so much freedom, and I feel like God kind of naturally used that time to prepare me for this, to say, hey, you can take that living room, just people just basking in the presence of God. You can take that, and you can actually, that can be done in a larger setting, and I feel like Gateway 61's done a pretty good job of trying to make that happen here. And just say, you know what, let's just give time. When we're in the middle of on a practical level, when we're in the middle of a worship set, sometimes we're doing this song, and it's just, you could just feel it in the room that there's something on it. Like there's a chorus, there's a bridge, and you can tell that these lyrics are resonating with people. I love being up there on stage because I feel like I got a front row seat to watch people encounter God.
Oh yeah.
And there's some times where you just realize, I can't move on from this song right now. We're going to go back and we're going to do that bridge again and again, and maybe the instruments cut out, and we just let people hear each other singing it. And so there are a lot of times, and what I love is our teams become very accustomed to that. They become very accustomed to just okay, I see what's happening. We're not moving on to the third song. This second song clearly is really hitting something. We'll camp out there. And then maybe we'll get done, and occasionally we'll have some time where it's just silent in the room. We'll just let a chord just kind of linger and let people just be there, and give them some time to just process with God. Maybe they're praying, maybe it's out loud, maybe it's silently, maybe people are on their faces. I love it. Sometimes we have people here who, for them, it's waving a flag. We got a few dancers, and giving people room to encounter God, whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah.
So
like waiting on the Lord.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. It's definitely the word out on the street is, if you want the presence, Gateway 61's the place to go. That's definitely the word. I've heard that, I don't know, countless places now. So keep up with the good work.
That's really encouraging.
I love that living room feel, though, or that analogy. It's because that is a place of intimacy, and really, when you're encountering the presence, that is an intimate place. He's either reading your mail, or he's downloading something to you, or healing you, or it's an intimate occasion. So I love churches that are built on the living room sort of idea. Of course, we're in this crazy cool room that looks like a living room, feels like a living room. But so I wanted to kind of just ask both of you this. What does encountering the presence look like for you personally? After you lock the doors and everyone goes home on Sunday afternoon or whatever, what does it look like for you personally? And then maybe you have an encouragement for others that are trying to desperately encounter God.
Sure, I'll go. Man, I wish I did it more, if I'm honest. I wish I was encountering God more on my own, because I know that that's the kind of place I want to be leading from when I'm in front of people. I'll say this: when I'm alone and when I'm encountering God, oftentimes that means tears in my eyes, and it probably means it just means this being hit with the gratitude for man, God, you really are so good. So yeah, when I'm whether it be I'm praying by myself or if I'm worshiping at home, I love those times where kind of unexpectedly it just comes over me like this wave of emotion, and it's just this knowing of God's goodness in that moment, knowing of His love in that moment, knowing that I'm loved in that moment. Those are really powerful moments for me. And yeah, I
almost feel like you could do anything when you know you got that foundation.
It feels really clear, and it feels really pure
Yeah.
in those moments. And and so those are those moments that I'm really even in a corporate worship setting, those are those moments I'm after. It's like I want people to be in that place. As a community, I want us to be in that place where we're just overcome by God's goodness, God's love. We're clearly seeing who we are and who He is in those moments.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good. What about you, sir?
So, the family I was raised in, if one job didn't cut it, get two. If two don't cut it, get three. And so everything was very driven. Work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find self-care for me and encountering God is in a place of rest. And the way I have been wired, that is a very hard place for me to get.
Yeah.
And so what the Lord really has done, because in that, it's just like, well, I need to pray and I need to read scripture and I need to do all these things for God. And that was the way I thought would encounter His presence. And when I enter really in the place of rest, going, He's right here. He's been here the whole time. And just stopping and going, oh, you're right here. And there's not a lot of, it's more me listening, more me just encountering Him. I've turned into really an experienced guy. I love just experience when I know He's right there, and I'm just experiencing God.
That's so good, yeah.
And like for me, self-care, I love the outdoors. I love to fish. He's right there. He loves to fish. He loves to be with me. And just that, even riding someplace, it's just like I know He's right there, and I'm like, He cares so much. He's just with me. And so I just kind of get overwhelmed. And then I don't really go through the list of things I need to do. It's just that experience and what comes out of that experience.
Wow, that's awesome. There's definitely this theme of waiting on the Lord. In the past when I've led worship, I tell my team, learn the music, look at the page, but then get off the page so we can explore what God wants to do. And you almost have to remove yourself from the structure in a sense so that He can move. We get really distracted by structure, and we're distracted by all the things that have to happen, the performance side and the driven side. Yeah. But every worship experience that I've had where it's powerful and where God moves, there's definitely an element of waiting on Him. What do you want? What do you want to do, God? This is your service. This is your time. So that's great. That's great.
And I know here what we have experienced over the last 8 years is we started out just those silent times. I mean, no instruments, no song, and I'm telling you, 1 minute was a lifetime. I mean, you go dead silent on a Sunday morning, nobody doing anything, and people are even looking around like somebody's got to move, somebody's got to say. I wouldn't even have people come. I got a word, and I'm like, no, this is a quiet time, and it's only been 45 seconds. We're gonna make it, And now I think just
we can't handle the silence.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I know we were at least 5 minutes or better in silence, just pure silence. And the part is when I'm in the lobby at the end of the service, people are coming up. When we were quiet, I heard God, and I'm like,
that's it.
Oh. We won. I mean, that's amazing. And can you imagine that we don't have to do anything for somebody to encounter and hear God? Where we put all that pressure on ourselves. And don't get me wrong, I love worship music. I love when people preach and have the word of the Lord. But there is that of waiting and just He's here right now. And He's going to encounter everybody. And I have to trust that of He's really good at His job.
Yes.
And I'm going to trust that you're going to encounter each person, even if we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
But boy, I'll tell you that there again, it's really hard on the flesh.
No, it's challenging for sure. But to see Him seated in the seat of honor, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to, that's so good. And we were talking earlier a little bit about Him being the bridegroom and us as pastors being the best man. But trying not to stand in the place of the bridegroom, that's difficult. It's challenging.
Very difficult.
So one of the theme songs that we have coming out, Worship Everywhere's got coming out, is called God of Freedom. And one of the themes in that is waking up the warriors, waking up the kingdom warriors. I get a sense that that's important here. What do you think of when you think of waking up warriors? What do you think how does that fit in this season that we're in?
Yeah, I really believe, and maybe Matt can go a little bit deeper in this, but like when Matt came and he's volunteering with part of the worship team, and it's really seeing the giftings and the talents and what God's put in people and letting that come alive, not controlling it. And when you let that come alive and you give freedom to that, it's great risk with everyone when you do that. When you start giving freedom away of be who you're created to be, but when people get equipped, that's awakening the warriors. It's like, here's all this inside me, and now I have the freedom to move in that.
Yeah.
And that is really the awakening when we come into truly who we are. And even coming into the fullness of even our true identity. And when we come into that, I think that is just a level of really waking the warrior. When I really know, like God calls me, this is his name for me, he calls me precious. And it just about makes me cry every time. It's just like, you're precious. And when I know that's how he identifies me, I come more alive. Yeah. Because I'm like not the, you're never, no good, you're never going to amount to anything guy, or you have to work harder guy. Yeah. It's just, wow, I'm just precious. And he's right here. Wow. And so that awakens me, and I see that with everybody else as we come into that, warriors are awakened.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Well, on one level, I get to see that on the worship team, because I think that's part of my role is for the people that we bring onto the team is to give them that freedom to just explore how God's gifted them and how he wants to use them to lead people in worship. And so I love that. I love, as much as I love singing and I love playing the piano, man, I got to take a step back and really like, hey, this is yours. This is your song. Own this song. And some of my favorite moments have been these times where someone has seemed very hesitant at first to kind of really take ownership of a song, or to really run with it. And then we'll be in the middle of a worship set on a Sunday morning, and all of a sudden they're going spontaneous. And either they're singing something, some spontaneous words, or they'll stop and they'll just like spontaneously pray over the congregation, or they'll like a scripture or something like that. Those are some of my favorite moments. But on a larger level, when you talk about like raising up warriors, my hope is that that's what's happening on Sunday morning, is that people are out there and they're encountering God as we're worshiping together, and that they're being set free from stuff. That's my dream, is to know that people are getting healed from stuff. They're being set free from stuff because they're encountering him in those times of worship. And so that there's a knock-on effect that in their daily lives, they're seeing a difference in who they are. And so that's my dream. That's what I hope is happening. Yeah. That's what I want to see more and more. If not, we got to change, because I think that's what we're called to do, as a worship team up there.
Yeah, we have a family that goes here. They've been coming here about 2 years. And he shared a story with me, and he sits in the balcony. Their family sits up in the balcony, and he goes, one Sunday morning in worship, God just came to me in worship. And he said, I really want to address the drinking problem that you have. And he goes, I will take you through this, and you can lean into me and I'll take care of it. And he never drank from that day forward. Wow. Well, he's getting more equipped for life, for his family, everything, because he knew it, and it was this burden he was carrying, but now he was experiencing freedom. We didn't go pray for him. We didn't lay hands on him. I didn't even know he had a problem. Yeah. Until he shared that. He goes, I had this issue and God set me free. Wow. Yeah. Well, then when he shares that, then other people dealing with addictions and stuff like that, God did it for him. Now he's going to, wow. And so they even step into more freedom. Yeah. And so it's like, wow, the presence is amazing.
Yeah. I think that people don't realize the gravity of the situation. The enemy, as you know, comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He's out to take you out. That's his goal. Yeah. And we get so distracted with life, whatever it is, or he gets us twisted where we're drinking from the flask instead of the Spirit. Yeah. And we don't realize that there's more to us. There's more to our purpose than just waking up every day and going to work and just going through the motions of life. We actually have a purpose that he's calling us to. And I like the imagery of the army waking up, and it said it's the rattle, like the Elevation song rattle, like the bones start to rattle, and like something's coming alive, and it's making noise, and it's almost like I'm rubbing up on your elbow, and we're waking each other up. When one person does, it blossoms. It just comes alive from there. So that's awesome. That's great to hear. So I want to ask you guys, and I asked Miracle this. We just did an interview with her. So I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on it. But what does it mean? This is maybe a little bit of a curveball. What does it mean to worship in spirit and truth? What do you think that means? And I know there are various perspectives out there. I've struggled with it in my life. What does that mean to you? What do you think he's trying to say by that?
For me, God is spirit. If he's spirit, it says he's love. And so I really believe everything is focused in that experience and that encounter of the love of God in spirit. And so encountering and experiencing the love of God in that, and in truth, that I would say that nothing's hidden. And I think that word even, truth means non-concealing. So there would be nothing, very transparent. And so when I'm in this overwhelming experience of the love of God in his heart, nothing's hid. And he's not afraid of anything that I have anyway. He already knows.
Yeah.
But it opens me up wow, everything that was hidden inside me that I don't even have the capacity to carry anyway, I start experiencing the freedom from that. Just like the guy with the drinking. All of a sudden he started encountering the freedom, the love of God. God loved him so much. I'm walking you through this. I'm going to deliver you from this. And so when we encounter in that place, and so I just feel that, just that transparency, but then corporately, as we're in this, nothing's hidden. We're all just being more transparent as we worship. And so I feel like worshiping in spirit and truth, that's a little bit of my take.
That.
And I'm sure there's way more depth on all that.
Yeah. I haven't heard it that way before, so I appreciate that. That's great.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, ditto.
I mean, you could preach a sermon on that.
I should.
There's probably something there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have a more thought out answer than what John just gave. Other than that, just to add to that, for me, authenticity in deep relationship. I want to worship with authenticity. When we think about truth, from a real authentic place. When we talk about worshiping in spirit, just deep intimate relationship. Those two things, when those two things come together, I think that's a powerful place to be worshiping from.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. What would you guys say to folks that are maybe struggling right now? And we kind of maybe addressed a little bit of this earlier, but they're struggling in their personal time with God. Do you have any encouragement that you can offer?
You got a thought?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there are people write books about this, right? There are a lot of great ideas out there floating around, and I just think instead of getting paralyzed by all the ideas and never taking a step, take a step, a small step. For me recently, one of the things that I started doing is I use Spotify a lot, and I have all these playlists I'm really proud of. Road trip playlist, a chillin' by the fire playlist. I love my Spotify playlists. I really am so proud of them. But one of them is a soaking playlist, and I kind of intentionally made that for that time when maybe it's 6 a.m. and I'm getting up, I'm getting ready for work, but I just need to sit on the couch for a while and just put that on before I even crack open my Bible. For me, that's just one small step. It's a tiny step that just says, hey, if this is going to help me in the morning, wake up and engage a little quicker and just be present and spend a few minutes really connecting with God, then let me do that. And if it's something else, let me do that. Let me just try. Let me take a step. Do something that says, God, I'm here, and it's a struggle. Everyone's struggle is different, but it's a struggle to connect with you. I'm trying. Can you see that I'm trying? I want to try this. If that doesn't work, I'm going to try this, but I'm going to put my foot forward, and I'm going to try something that says, on a practical level, I want to connect to you. I want to know you. I want you to have my heart.
And I think, in the world system, I think we get so focused on behavior. Well, you smoke, you drink, whatever. You listen to rock and roll, country music, whatever it is, and you and modify your behavior. And so all we're doing is we're modifying behavior. And I know my wife and I, we spent about 6 or 7 years over here in Pacific at a prison. Every Wednesday night we did Celebrate Recovery class over there.
Okay.
And so those guys were, when I get out of this 10 by 10 cell, I'm free. And when I get rid of this drug addiction, I'm free. When I can quit smoking these cigarettes, I'm free. When I can quit drinking, this is when, and they kept thinking the absence of something was freedom. And really the absence of things are not freedom. Just because you're free of that 10 by 10 cell, you can still be in bondage to whatever it is. And I really believe true freedom is the presence of someone, because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom.
Yeah.
And so freedom is not the absence of something, it's the presence of someone.
Yeah.
And so that would be
good.
when people are struggling,
That's good.
because we get so focused, if it's cigarettes, we get so focused, and we're so focused on, and if I can just quit these things, instead of if we just get focused on Him, presence, He's going to walk us through it. He's going to get us out. I mean, He's walked me through so many things through life. And so in His presence, there's total freedom. And so I say focus on Him. And just like what Matt's talking about, we have so many amazing ways in this technology era now of just like vehicles to help encounter Him in a great way. So, and here I'm sitting between two worship leaders like, let's worship.
Yeah,
it's going to bring freedom, man.
Well, but there's an interesting quote. I think it was Banning Liebscher or something. It stuck with me. It said like this generation has more choices than any previous generation, right? Yeah. So many more things pulling on our time, so many more distractions. And so it can be really discouraging when you think of it like that. But I think he said something like, and I'm going to butcher it, I'm not going to get it right, but he said, in the midst of more choices, when we make that choice to follow the Lord, it's even more powerful. That in the midst of this multitude, of choices. And so just this fact that to say, I want this. And God sees that, man. He sees that. When we say, I want to focus on you. I want you in the midst of everything else.
Yeah.
There's something on that. He's not a hard-hearted God. He sees that and He's like, okay, I see you. Yeah. I'll meet you there in that place. So yeah.
Do you guys collaborate when you put any kind of a service together? Or like just say, hey, this is what I think I'm getting, this is what I think I'm getting, and then just go for it? What does that look like?
At times we do. He more is asking the question, how are we going to end? And a lot of times,
that's easy.
I figure my job, if I can get people to a place where they're encountering God in worship, no matter what He's preaching on, like they're going to be at a place where they're ripe to receive it. And so when he says that, honestly, at the end, it's like, hey, is this going to be like this kind of time of a really holy time of ministry? Because if so, I want to have the team prepare for that. And if it's more of like, hey, let's send everyone out in celebration, I want to have something ready for that. Yeah. So that is usually my first question to him.
How are we going to end?
Or do you have an A/B, like choose your own ending adventure or something?
And there's so many times like, I have no idea. But God knows. And it is wild how God does cover it, though.
It really makes you more attentive to when you don't have a set direction, you have to be super attentive to Him. Yeah.
I probably give him the answer. I'm not sure more than I probably have. This is the.
Well, we have like a group chat with the people in the worship team, and often it'll be in the middle of the service, and someone's like, "Hey, I'm really feeling this song." I'm like, "Okay, let's pull that one."
Let's do it.
And there are times when we're literally walking up on stage, and this is probably bad, so I'm going to lose some respect to some other worship leaders. But there are times we're walking up on stage, and people literally don't know what song we're about to play, and I'll get up on stage, and I'm just kind of whispering, or I'm holding up a piece of music. I'm like, "Yeah, we're going to go this one. Give A, whatever." So. That's how we do it. That's just how we do it here. Don't judge me too harshly. It's worked so far.
Yeah. No, that's great. I appreciate that. What would you say the heart cry has been lately, like say in the last month or two? What's just been the theme?
I mean, to be honest, if at Gateway 61, the theme I feel like has pretty constantly been identity. If I think about it, this church carries this idea of like understanding our identity, the way like John said when he says he knows that when God sees him as precious, and I think John and Diane's heart is that everyone in the church, whatever it is, may not be precious, but whatever it is, just that you see like you have this connection, you know that like this is how God sees me, and so that we never stray too far from that message. It feels like it's never too far. It's never too long before someone's here and they're going to hear that like, hey, God loves you. You need to understand how He sees you, and you need to start seeing yourself. We want you to see yourself the right way. See yourself the way He sees you, instead of all the shame and condemnation that the majority of people deal with. So, I don't know. I just know that's been a common thread as far as the last month or two. I don't know. You got something on that?
Well, and I feel the sense on a Sunday morning for sure that people come in desiring to encounter God, and they know there's more, and they're after it. I'm telling you that because we can't do it. Mm-hmm. You know, like we're just kind of facilitators or conductors, so to speak. But when people come in hungry, and it's like, I want to encounter God, and I know there's more, and you can feel like over the last month or two, you can literally just feel levels on Sunday morning. There's times I've even stopped, and I'm like, I don't really know what to do at this point. Because his presence is getting so thick, so strong, and I'm just like, God?
Yeah.
The one Sunday morning, I'm like, we're just going full-blown worship. He goes, no, there's a person that has to hear this one. I'm like, but Lord, this is so good. I just want to go deeper in worship. He goes, no, but I need you to share this one thing. And I did, and somebody came to me, and they go, that was like so for me. I had to hear that. And I'm like, okay, thank you, Lord. But I wanted to go into worship, God. I wanted more worship.
Yeah.
But I think that it's just kind of that sense really corporately of people just wanting more of God.
I love the connection, the two greatest commandments, and then all the rest hang on those is love God, right? And God is love. So with that in mind, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So you're learning how to love from encountering Him. You're learning how to love yourself, really. Yeah. And we really can't love our neighbor until we truly know Him then. Right. So pressing into the presence so that we can fulfill the greatest command. Like we'll get to the rest, but we got to do this first. Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. So you guys have flags and you have multiple things, dancing. Talk a little bit about that. Is that new to you, or have you been around that a lot?
I have not really been around that.
Because I think a lot of people we're not used to seeing that. Yeah. So what is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't like a part of me flagging, any of that. I mean, I've seen a little flagging kind of here and there. Mm-hmm. And what happened 8 years ago is some of the kids started coming up flagging during worship. And they were so worshiping God. And I'm like, don't touch it.
Wow.
Don't mess with it. And then others have kind of joined in. And it's really that freedom. So I do get people come in, from other denominations and different things. And at the end, I'll just kind of walk up and I'm like, thanks for being brave today. I know this was probably like Mars for you.
Yeah.
But I go, the only thing I can tell you is just kind of let go and enter in. And then you'll start sensing the same thing. And then you have the freedom to be who God created you to be too.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. That's so good. Yeah,
but it's a tough one for me. A lot of it's like, but
I remember one of the first times I've seen that was actually in Israel, and this guy had these flags, and he was, talk about warring in the spirit. He was he was going after it. I'm like, this is the coolest thing. And ever since then, I've just had a great appreciation for, whether it's a child or an adult or who it is. There is something happening. There's something being released in the spirit realm when that's happening. I just love that. I'm always touched by a flagging or even dancing. It's really neat. I feel like we're going to get to a song here in a second. So I'm going to talk about the song, and I'm going to give you a chance to prepare for the next piece. Okay. I would like for you to pray or maybe release a prophetic word over people for freedom to be found in the presence, or something revolving around the presence of God. Okay. And in the meantime, we're going to be talking about a song. So you chose a song that we're going to do together. Can you talk about why you chose that song and maybe what it's meant to you and to the church body here?
I chose Corey Voss's "Praise Your Name," and I think it's been a song we've done in the last year. We've done a decent amount. And it's just become one of the favorites. Yeah. There are a lot of favorites. It's hard to say because, any song you choose, there are multiple people like, oh, that's my favorite. They might come up after the service. But I love the way this one just declares it like, I'm going to sing my way out of the valley. Yeah. I'm going to sing my way up the mountain, and just I choose to praise. It goes, I'm going to praise. I'm going to praise. And sometimes at the end, we'll even change the words, and I'll just sing it out. I choose to praise. I choose to praise.
Love that.
And there's a part at the end I know it's kind of unconventional for a lot of the worship songs that people have grown up with, but this says this, it just speaks directly. It says, hey, fear and confusion, you got to go. Yeah. Shame, you have to go. And it just calls these things out, and it says, you have to go. because right now I'm praising.
Yeah.
And there's no room for you here right now. And I love that. And I think there's a powerful exchange for people in that moment. I just think there's something there. I think, and I've listened to Corey Voss speak from just where he comes from and how his process in songwriting in a podcast. And I just think that was really intentionally. He included that part where he lets people say directly in the middle of a song of praise to God to say, fear, go. Confusion, go. Shame, go. There's no room for you right now because I am worshiping my Maker, and I will be known by Him, and I will know Him more. And so that's
so good.
It's that gets me, and I think you can just see it. I love even the worship team, when we're singing those songs, just looking at them as we're going and just watching them,
letting it ride.
Just like, oh yeah, there's conviction.
Ooh, yeah.
There's conviction behind it when we get to that part, man.
I love that.
So yeah.
Yeah, so when we do this song, I pray that people would experience that for themselves, that would stir up in them too.
Yeah.
Like, we have to tell the enemy to get out. Like, he doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Are you ready, sir?
I think I am. Can I talk to the camera?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Christ in us. So when we accept Christ, He is in us. And so that's a daily thing, though. Really recognizing that daily. Like I was sharing earlier, of He's right here. Yeah. And He's in us each day. And I think it's daily recognizing that, even like, oh, it is Christ in me. Yeah. That's the hope of glory. But also in Colossians, a little bit further down, but it says we're complete in Him. And so it's in Him. And so He's in me, but I'm in Him. Yeah. And what does that look like? That word really is surrender. Ooh. And so what's it really look like daily? Because He said daily bread, He's living bread. And so daily, what does it look like? I have to just stop and go, okay, oh, Christ in me. And now, God, I'm surrendering my heart, and God, I'm going to let you hold my heart. And so there's that place of surrender. And the one thing I can tell you, you can trust God. You really can. And I know all of us, He says trust in Him with all our heart. I think we're all just growing in that. I don't think we're going to say, oh yeah, I 100% trust Him. I don't think any of us are there yet or have arrived. But it's this place of just surrendering, going, God, I trust you with my heart, my complete heart. Everything about me, I trust you, and so I'm surrendering now. And in that place, and anybody watching right now, I would just ask you just to shut your eyes and just get your hands out, palm up in a receiving mode, and just realize Christ is in you. And then now just see yourself handing Him your heart, because that's where you're complete. You're complete in Him. Wow. And surrender your heart, your whole life to Him. And in that place of surrender, go, I trust you, God. And I can tell you this, He is a safe place. And now, as He's holding your heart, I would just say, as you're in this place, with eyes closed, hands up, just ask Jesus to come and bring His heart and to kiss your heart. That's the true intimacy right there, because He is spirit, we are spirit. And so, Lord, right now, I'm just asking, as everyone watching this right now, I'm asking that you would just walk into that place. As we've surrendered ourselves to this place, we're wide open, God. We trust you, and we know you're a safe place, and now we're asking that you would take your heart and kiss our heart. I'm asking for a deep, deep encounter with each person right now. I'm just feeling your presence so thick right now, God. Let it be so real to each person. And they're just knowing that's the living God right there. And just know so much. In Luke 15, there's 3 parables. It's about 100 sheep, 10 coins, 2 sons. But it always was about one. He would leave the 99 to find the one. Wow. The one lost coin, it was lost, but it still had great value, even though it was lost. Wow. And the 2 sons, and it was always about the one. He always values the one. He values you so much. Yes. You are so valuable to Him. You are so precious to Him. And so today, just know you are valuable. He wants to encounter you each and every day. And all you just have to do is just say, come, kiss my heart.
Man, that's so good. I just want to sit in that for a minute.
I know, it's right here. It's just so thick, and I love that.
That's awesome.
I love the presence of God.
I think we're just having church right now. It's so good. Man, so I guess I would like for people to experience the presence here too. How do people get here? When do you guys meet? How can they find you online?
Yeah. So gateway61.org. And we're Sunday mornings here. We're in Chesterfield, Missouri, 17550 Wild Horse Creek Road, 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. And I will tell you this, the service really doesn't get rolling until 10 after 10. Because church starts when you walk in the door, because this is a great place of connection and relationship. And so as soon as people walk in the door, that's when I say church starts. But you will love it, and I will tell you this, we are after God, and we want to encounter him. Yeah. And I did make this deal with God starting this. I said, if your presence leaves, I'm out of here. And I'm still here. So he keeps showing up. So he's faithful.
He's here. How about that? That's awesome. Well, awesome. Thanks, guys. So we're going to get to our song, but I want to bless you guys. We honor you. Thank you for doing what you do and pressing in. It is a struggle. And when you're in a battle, when you're a warrior, sometimes your armor gets chinked and sometimes the enemy gets in there. And I just want to bless you with protection, a hedge of protection around you from Almighty. So thank you again. We learned so much. We experienced his presence. This has been great. So
thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Amen. Amen.
Good.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right.
Even now, I can see darkness is fading. Walls of fear, brick by brick, will come down. Your light will shine, lifting me out of the shadows. Here and now, I know where my breakthrough is found. I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna push through till every light crumbles. I'm gonna dance in the midst of the rain. I'm gonna rest in the arms of the Father. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise your name. Oh, I'm gonna praise your name. There's a sound welling up from within me. Heaven's power calling hope to arise, arise. I'm standing tall here in the strength of victory. 'Cause when you come, every wrong is made right. I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna push through till every light crumbles. I'm gonna dance in the midst of the rain. I'm gonna rest in the arms of the Father. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise your name. I'm gonna praise your name. Yeah. I'm gonna praise your name. Your name, your name. I'm gonna praise your name. Your name, your name. We sing fear and depression, shame and confusion. You have to bow, yeah, you have to bow. Oh, there's the things that demand my attention. You have to bow, you have have to bow. Fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. Yeah, you have to bow. Oh, there's the things that demand my attention. You have to bow. Oh, yeah, you have to bow. Fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. You have to bow. Oh, there's the things that demand my attention. You have to bow. Oh, yeah, you have to bow. Oh, and fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. Oh, you have to bow. Oh, there's the things that demand my attention. You have to bow. I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna push through till every lie crumbles. I'm gonna dance in the midst of the rain. I'm gonna rest in the arms of the Father. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise your name. I choose to praise your name. Jesus, I choose to praise your name. I choose to praise your name. And we say fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. You have to bow. Oh, all lesser things that demand my attention. You have to bow. You have to bow. Fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. Yes, you have to bow. Oh, there's the things that demand my attention. You have to bow. You have to bow. I say fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. You have to bow. Oh, there's the things that demand my attention. You have to bow. Oh, yeah, you have to bow. Oh, fear and depression, shame and confusion, you have to bow. Oh, you have to bow. Oh, there's the things that demand my attention. You have to bow. I'm gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my way up to the mountain. I will take hold of the truth of your promise. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna push through till every lie crumbles. I'm gonna dance in the midst of the rain. I'm gonna rest in the arms of the Father. I'm gonna praise, I'm gonna praise. I choose to pray, I choose to pray. I want to pray, I want to pray. I'm gonna pray, I'm gonna praise your name. I choose to praise your name. I choose to praise your name.
Thanks, bro.
God's here, man. Thank you so much. This was absolutely wonderful, and I just pray that everyone could live this fear and depression, shame and confusion. Like they have to bow. They have to bow. So thanks for taking the time. This has been incredible.
Yeah, it was beautiful playing with you, man. It was great. I just enjoyed that.
Amen.
Having those guitar strings go on and the harmonies there.
We're gonna do it again.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Gonna sing my way out of the valley. I'm gonna shout my